Hi everyone, and welcome to Offshore Adventures, and a very warm welcome to our subscribers and of course to anybody else that's just joining the channel for the first time. I'm Bob.
And I'm Nikki.
And today we thought we'd put together just a short film, as a few of you have asked about the Yamaha FL200s and the flushing system for those. So we just thought we'd put together, once we get back from this beautiful little bay we're in at the moment, Wattick Bay it is, which we'll show you shortly, but once we're back from Wattick Bay and perhaps a bit of fishing
and we'll
on the way back,
and we'll let you know if we catch anything.
Oh yes, yeah. Once back we'll obviously, as we do every time when we get back, flush the engines out of the salt water, and we'll just show you that process. It's a lot simpler than the Honda 200 that we had before, which was on our 795. That was a case of using the flush muffs on the lower part of the engine, whereas the Yamaha one is a much more straightforward integrated system that you'll see working very shortly. But we've got to show you this fabulous part of the world that we're in, where we've stopped for a picnic and a bit of lunch. A lovely Wattick Bay, really lovely place to drop in. Still in March, but actually I think it's hit about 14-15 degrees today, and in the sun it's definitely a bit more than that. So it is just a fab spot. We're right at the what you're looking at there is the mouth of the Milford Haven estuary. Right there in the distance, that fairly vertical cliff in the distance, that's Stackpole Head, where you carry on round there to Barrafundle. And of course, as you look into the haven there, some of the industry in sight. One of the tankers just come in there, and one boat on the LNG terminal. But a lovely spot, quite often more up here. Put the dinghy out into the beach there, portable barbecue, job done. Doesn't get much better. You can access it walking as well, of course. Along the top there is the Pembrokeshire Coast Path, and there is a small path that just allows you to drop onto this beach. Tide, we're about halfway with the tide at the moment, so there's always a bit of sand there, and a great spot if you fancy a stroll, or indeed a boat, up to where we are now. See you shortly.
Hello, Bob. Yet to catch anything, but we'll keep you posted.
Right, well, we are back in. Still a lovely sunny afternoon. Very pleasant picnic. Tuna fish, sadly not caught by me. It was in a can before it found my sandwich. As promised, we'll do a flush out the engines and just show you that process that one or two of you asked about. Okay. So the key bits is one of these squiggly hoses, or at least we get one like that because it stows a lot easier. One of these ones that expands as it fills with water, so it doesn't take up much space at all, but it's about 15, I think it's 15 meters when it's full of water, and it expands. Then I've just cut up a bit of hose and onto the piece that joins on there, just put one of those hose to hose adapters into a standard garden hose outlet. On the other end of it, the bit that I use to connect to the F200 engines is again just a garden connector, reasonable one, solid thing, and it's a stop valve as well, so you can just see it there, yeah, stop valve as well, which allows you to move between the engines without giving yourself a bath. And then finally the all-important piece, which is a Yam product, but which in fact again is not dissimilar to standard hose pipe connectors, tap connector type thing, and this is the bit that fits directly to the engine, ready to flush the water through. So let's put it together and you'll see what I mean. The reason why we got the expandable hose is that the marina here have recently taken away all the hose pipes that were here. They did supply them. They've obviously got the stanchions here, but recently removed the hoses for obvious reasons, just as if you were sharing hoses and didn't know where the end of the hose had been, then it's not ideal if you were using it for fresh water or the like. So now we of course have to all have our own hoses, which to keep things stowable and easy to pack away is why we went for this this expanding jobby. So that's the hose out, and then connect these two, and that's all sorted. And then with that stop valve on the end there, should be able to fire up the tap without giving Nikki a shower. You can see the hose pipe starts to increase in length. As I say, it's only be about 4 or 5 meters, but it increases as it fills with water to about 15 meters plus. Great bit of kit. Okay, and with the magic of technology, we've not got any water charging out the end here. So onto the engines. Well, with the starboard port, I do the starboard first once we move the seat forward, because you'll see that obviously the valves themselves are got one this side, one down there, that side of the engine, and of course similarly that side. So it's a lot easier to have this starboard one tilted up first so you can get to it without this one getting in your way. So starboard first, and let's get the seat forward. That's that. Get these. There we go. Right, so that's with the seat slid forward, and then as you probably know, each of the engines has got a manual tilt switch as well as the one at the helm. Just at the side here, just allows you to bring the starboard engine up, And that one's up ready, and you'll see that, as I was saying earlier, the Honda engine that we had, the Honda 200 engine on the 795, that had then a set flush mast that fits to the intake there, which is the intake for the seawater once it's up and running. And you used to have to fit them on there, lean over the edge of the pontoon there, the 2 or 3 feet to the rear of the engine, so that you could get those on without trying to take an early bath. So it was a bit of a kerfuffle, and this is definitely an easier engine to work with in terms of that flushing process. So that's the starboard engine tilted up now. So here on the side of both of the F200s, you've got part of what is the circulatory system for the seawater, the coolant, and therefore it is as simple as just unscrewing this valve at the side here, which are of course hand tight, and then inside you've got this yellow washer. As you unscrew it, be careful not to lose the yellow washer into the drink, and then simply the hose style fitting that we saw earlier, that little black one, just screws into that. So with that black plastic piece then, you just screw that in, just hand tight as well. Nothing is over tightening because the washers are all pretty hefty. And then the hose end that we that stop end, the stop end here, just a firm push, because of the pressure that's obviously backed up there. And then hopefully we should see the water, yep, there it goes, coming out the telltale, and then down the bottom on the bottom of the leg where I mentioned earlier where our flush mast had to be fitted before, down there. Simple as that. And you'll see there, by this starboard engine's obviously up, it means that I've got footwell there to get down into, get those connections on, and therefore not have to squeeze between the two when they're up. I've taken the cover off this one because, interestingly, just as we connected that first one up and powered the water through that valve that we've just seen, then it popped off this hose here, which you can see is just held on there by a cable tie. So I just had to switch the water off and re-cable tie the other one in just a bit tighter, or I've doubled up in fact on the cable ties, as a result of it popping that hose off. It was obviously I should think the initial pressure of the hose just firing through the water. Not happened before, I have to say, so interesting that it happened on this occasion. And in fact the cable tie was a little bit loose, so so this one I'll double up on as well and tighten that one up, just so that we don't get the same issue. But of course it's a good point that if it did by chance or by accident, whatever it was, on the move come off, you'd then of course lose your telltale, which would be a very fast indication that you need to cut the power, otherwise obviously you'll overheat. But the hose obviously comes down there, drops down, and then comes out ready for the valve there, which is the one we use to connect up to. So yeah, an interesting hiccup, but one that was easily solved. I do the flush them through, as you can see it's flowing through well there. Flush them through for 3 or 4 minutes. Connect this other one up, connect the port side up, and then the same 3 or 4 minutes on this side. So really easy, none of that taking your life in your hands, leaning over the pontoon there to get the flush mast on the back, and quite a simple system. So that's 3 or 4 minutes on this side, and then simply, as soon as you pull this collar back, it obviously should, hopefully the water supply should stop, otherwise I'm going to get very wet. A straightforward off like that, and then just some of the excess in the cooling system runs through there. and then the hose of course across to the port side. So dead easy. Remember of course to unscrew your valve there, and then the valve just gets reconnected there, and then simply screwed up to sort of finger tight really. Nothing more complex than that. And onto the port side. The independent engine lifts are obviously on the outside of each engine again, which is another reason why I do them in this order. And when you've got the system disconnected there, ready for that joining piece, then it's worth just pushing that yellow washer down to the base there of the housing, because that just exposes that screw thread and makes the that little black joining piece much easier to screw in like that. If it's right up the top there, that yellow piece, then it's a bit of a stiff and a bit difficult to line up. And then the port side engine, and then just that firm push. Start the water supply, and it should. Yep. Start. For another 2 or 3 minutes. And you can see by the gap between the two engines now that if you've got them both up, then very difficult to get to the valve, which is obviously down there. So definitely worth working out a routine for yourselves that does one or the other first. Another lovely day out, and those two are particularly happy because they've had another blast out after their long winter layoff. Right, that one should do on the port. Top that one off, let the excess flow. And then just pop the valve off, stick it in a safe pocket so you don't end up in the drink. And then again, same with fitting that black unit, just reseat that yellow washer right to the base, which makes screwing it onto your engine a lot easier because it's not fighting against that yellow washer. And then it's just up hand tight again. There we go. That's the pretty straightforward Yamaha F200 engine flushing system, freshwater engine flush. And then a quick swap of hose ends, and I always give my rinse off, get the worst of the salt water off from the day's charging about. Job done. And while we got the hose out, a quick top up of the water tank. Another lovely evening at Neyland. That rising note tells you it's about to fill up. And then any excess comes out the overflow at the side, which which is just back there. And of course the magic key that does fuel, water, black water, you name it. Guard it with your life. Put a dangly floaty thing on it just in case it ends up in the sea. And carry a spare. Definitely. So that's the old girl put to bed. Young Nikki finishing off, sorting the hose, generally getting Resi ready for bed until hopefully in the week we might be getting out and about, hopefully. So that was the flushing of the F200s, and of course a little bit of a trip down to Wattick and surrounding. Hope that was of use to you. If of course you have any questions, then do give us a shout in the comments below, and indeed if you've got any requests for or any questions about anything we haven't covered yet in the films, then again please do stick it down in the comments and we'll do our best to answer them. Of course, if you've liked our film, then we'd love it if you subscribe to our channel. It is of course free, it doesn't cost you a penny, just means you get notifications of when we put our next film up. And of course as well, if you've liked the film, then do give us a like. It's been lovely having you along, and thanks once again to all of you for watching, and of course to those who have subscribed. Many thanks indeed, and see you again soon.